Hello, this is DK Golf Nut, and this is going to be the first of numerous videos I would like to produce to help people out with the operation and flight of the Redwings 1049 Connie. Beautiful bird, and glad to be part of the beta test group, and hopefully I can bring some insights to you on it. Today we're going to focus on the menu, the clipboard inside. So let's go ahead and go inside and have a view here of it. And there's tons of information in here. And today I'm going to cover the menu page and some of the emergency checklists. So at the top, I'd like to start out with how this is positioned. So currently it's in the leftmost position. There is a position with an up arrow here. If you click that, it moves to the throttle quadrant area, and then the clamp on here of the clipboard, if you click that, it actually hides up here on the dash, and that has been problematic in the release because the default position now is up here. I think the developer will change that in the future to make it default on the left, but that's bit quite a few people that have bought the airplane and were unable to find it. In order to reposition this again, you need to click on the clamp again. If you click up here, nothing happens. As soon as you click on the clamp, you could see that it moves back over. The other option for position is if you click right here, that moves it down. You can see the nice little automation into this area. And some people may find that useful. My preference is to keep it over on the left because I have a view set up for that. And oops. And it works well here for me. It's out of the way. So let's go ahead and start at the top. Types of flight. So you have an easy mode, you have a normal mode, and realistic. Some of the differences, if you're in easy mode, you'll notice that on the dash there are other lights, indicator lights, autopilot functionality, the clutch, engine damage warnings, whether it's too rich, too lean. And then up here, let me get this out of the way, in the upper FE area, there are more things about mag positions and, hydraulic valves and oil valves and fuel pumps and all that kind of stuff. So gives you some additional indicator lights to kind of help you understand when things are working wrong or starting to go bad so that you can address those. Now in the easy mode, the failures will not hurt you. They will be noted, but there's no failures that are going to impact you flying. If you're in the normal mode, however, those failures will impact you with fires and generator issues and things like that. Not as catastrophic as in the realistic mode, because in normal mode you can actually jump into the failure areas and turn things off, where if you are in the realistic mode, you have to put fires out using, fire extinguishers and, removing fuel and turning off engines and feathering props and doing all that kind of stuff. So much more difficult flying in the realistic mode than normal. The next area is the status. So this is the kind of the start functions, whether you're going to be cold and dark, which basically sets all of your, and right down here is where your checklists are. You can see that here's a list of all of the starting, boarding, process, all that. And if you click this arrow, it will show you the other normal list to climb and descend and park and all that, land and all that kind of stuff. So this is where you can get to that. Just above that is your emergency checklist. This shows you different failures and the process that you need to follow in order to uh, correct those so that you can continue flying. Here's the arrow keys down here, navigation, so that you can go to the secondary screen for the failures and emergency checklist. So you can do that. We're going to go back here to the main menu. So in cold start, as you could see, all of the um, checklist items were unchecked. All of your lights are off, engines are not started, fuel, up here is all turned off. So you're basically in a state where you would enter that's never been flown. If you click ready to fly, ready for takeoff, basically gets you to a position where all of the checklists have been run. It's not warmed up yet, but you are going to be taxiing out to the runway and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of puts you in a good position if you want to do a quick flight and you did not select ready to fly from your Asobo menu when you're coming in and spawn directly on the runway. This would be if you're out in a tarmac area and you just decide, instead of going through all of the checklists manually or even going through the automation that's part of the orders page, that you could click ready to fly and basically taxi out, take off, get your clearance, all that kind of stuff. So pretty useful. Cockpit lights, I'm going to go ahead and dim this so you can kind of see what happens. So there is a pre-configured cockpit lights. You can see that right now, because it's dark, all I have is my flashlight. If you need lights on quickly for night, if you click this, you can see how it puts a nice red illumination that's out there so that you can see all of your switches and indicators and things like that. Now you can adjust manually all of your lights so you can brighten things more that you need to, um, you know, your all of your different dials that are out there. You can set up your cockpit lighting how you want, but this is a good way to kind of get it set up for basic lighting so that you can start the airplane up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off. APU. So on the military variants, the APU is static. It's on all the time as far as installed in the airplane. And you'll notice there's a little lock symbol that's right here on military variant. And that just means that you can't turn it on or off because it's on there. It's installed normally. But we're on the civilian plane right now, and we had several users that took off from airports that didn't have ground services, and the problem is they didn't have enough battery to start the engine. So the developer actually installed the APU. So if you look up here in this area, you notice that it's a blank. If I go ahead and spawn the APU and come over here, there's the APU installed, and the instructions are on it to be able to operate it as well as in the manual, but it gives you another option when you're flying to have some functionality. The true airspeed needle, so if you look right here, and if I click it, it's going to still be hidden, but the white arm on this indicates indicated airspeed. And if you select true airspeed, it actually puts another needle behind this. And as you start to gain altitude, the true airspeed needle will start to extend out in front of the white, because the density of the air and temperature and all that indicates that your airplane is actually flying through the air mass quicker. So you'll get a true airspeed on there, and I recommend flying with that, because over on the charts, and I'll go over that in a later video, the charts on the flight engineer station actually deal with true airspeed. So having that on will be very helpful to get your engines dialed in with fuel flow, BMEP, all that kind of stuff as we go. So very helpful and a very nice add. The yoke left and right. So if you want to hide the yoke, you can click that and they disappear, which is kind of nice. I like a nice clear cockpit. This less visual effects. So externally, there was some changes that were made so that the exhaust on the engines is actually shown, and so that's some of the visual effects that's exterior. And if you have a PC that is challenged by a lot of the special effects that's happening, you can turn that off. I run it on all the time. I really enjoy being able to see the heat effects coming off the exhaust stacks. So it's a pretty cool feature to have on. But if you're impacted with your CPU or even GPU, you may want to turn that off. Visibility options here: pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer. And if we go up here, you can see there's my pilot, co-pilot. Currently, there's no flight engineer. Let me turn some seats on here. As I said, I like to have a clean area, but there's the pilot, co-pilot. Now they are visible externally, but if you want them internally, you would check these. I find that they kind of clutter the space, so I like to turn them off. As well as the seats, I like to have co-pilot and the engineer stations open so that I can actually see, because I fly single pilot a lot. And, I obviously have views for the flight engineer station, several different things that are there, but it is much easier to, just kind of look over really quick if I want to see if one of these lights lit up, and if there's a seat there, sometimes that gets hidden. So, all right, so that takes care of that. Now, human assistance. So this should actually be AI, artificial intelligence. And there's a couple areas to see this. One is right here, and the other thing is up here. There's these pictograms of the captain hat, the co-pilot, and then the flight engineer. And you'll notice that when I select pilot, a couple things happen. One is the light, or the hat, turns green. Also, he gets a coffee cup here. And if I do co-pilot, same thing, he lights up, and flight engineer. Now those can be turned on as well in the on and off here in the orders page. If you click the areas right here, it will turn them back off, and you notice the symbols for the hats carry through. So that's a good way for you to tell what's on and off by just looking at that top area, no matter what page you're on. So very useful. I sometimes I fly with all of the artificial intelligence on, and what that gives you is, when pilot, co-pilot, and flight engineer are on, they actually are operating the airplane. This area of the menu indicates help. And what that means is that if you're flying along and you'll hear commands like, for instance, you're flying into an icing condition and the co-pilot will say that he's seeing pitot ice or windshield ice or you know things like that to give you warnings. And if you're not using them, if they're not turned on, then you need to act um, on their instructions and actually go out and turn those particular systems on manually. If you're initially flying this and you're trying to learn, definitely helpful to keep the human assistance or the AI pilot, co-pilot, and flight engineer turned on at all times to help you out. The next area on here is the GPS, and you have to install an add-on into your community folder from PMS 50, and we have that detailed in the instruction manual. But the PMS 50 site offers a free GTN 750, and you can go out there, download that, install that into your folder, your community folder, and it will give you the ability to actually see it and have it be useful here. So you can turn on both. You can turn on one 750 or the 650. I'm going to show you 650. If we look, because it kind of blends in a little bit, the GTN 650 is installed right here next to the autopilot panel. The 750 is up here in this area, and they turning them on, we've had several people that have had some challenges there. So one is you have to have the GTN 750 installed in your community folder, the free version or pay, whichever one you want. You have to have the batteries on. And then if you notice on the version 2.3, even though the instrument switch is up, meaning that it's on, that light is lit. So there's an issue, there's a bug. And what you need to do, if you notice it's no GTN is running, if I turn this to the off position in the middle and then turn it back on, now you can see the GTN booting up. So a little helpful tip there. And the rest of the functionality in here as far as setting up flight plans, all that kind of stuff is dictated off what you want to do. Or if you have the pay version, you can actually download flight plans directly from SimBrief, which is a pretty cool feature of that. So I think that gets us to the end. Oh, one other option here. If you're in realistic mode currently, you can get all of the failures. But in the future, if you notice up here in the right corner is a career mode. And as the developer develops this, he will add functionality in here for points and things that you need to achieve, and it's going to be pretty extensive. But one of the things that you can do with this, if you get into a point where you spawn and your engine's on fire and you don't know exactly what to do, if you click, let me go back to that. If you click the career area, you click delete all datas, it will usually free that up for you. The other thing that you can do is go into the fuel and ground page, and I'll go over this in the future, but you can fix and repair, and that allows you to take care of known issues on the airplane. So if this doesn't work, go into the career area, delete datas, and that should help you out functionally. So hopefully this is helpful to you. If you want to, in the comments down below, let me know about some additional ones that you would like to see. I'm going to cover each one of these pages and show you examples along the way, and hopefully in the future be able to actually do some flights and go over some things that I've noticed that you have to do in certain ways, and hopefully that's helpful to you. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you need another type of training or things outside of this, and I'd be glad to help you. Thanks. Bye.